Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to edit the gateways so it allows ping. So the first one that we're going to be doing is this GW right here, and we are going to because we're not able to ping this firewall from this Windows machine right now. So what we want to do is we want to edit the global configuration on this gateway from the Smart Console using this management server. So we are going to go into our Windows machine, and you are going to log in to the Smart Console if you haven't yet already. And what we're going to be doing is we are going to go to the top left corner, this one over here, and we are going to select global properties. And in the global properties, the first option, firewall, we are going to go to accept ICMP requests. That's what pin. And we are going to say, let's just say first, accept ICMP request either first or last or before last. Let's just go ahead and say first. That's fine. Let's go ahead and press OK. Great. So what is going to happen is we are going to see a that we have configured something, and since we configure something, you can see that one over here. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and publish it, right? And after we publish it, it's basically saved in the management server. And since it is saved only in the management server, now we need to go ahead and install it on that firewall, which is a CPGW1. Remember, you need to, after you publish it, you need to go ahead and install that policy so it can be sent to that gateway. So let's go ahead and install the policy. And it's going to say where it's going to send it. It's going to send it to CPGW1. So let's go ahead and install that policy. So it is going to take a couple seconds. And after the policy is installed, you're going to see that it is going to succeed. So you are going to get this pop-up over here, and then it's going to disappear. But you can see it over here that it was installed on the CPGW1. You can see the dates, you can see the time, and you can see who made these changes over here by admin. Okay, so now it is installed over here. So if we open the CMD right now, the command prompt, if you do not know how to get there, you can go ahead to the Windows button. You can just go ahead and type CMD for command prompt, and if you do it PING for ping 10.1.1.3, we are going to be able to ping the firewall now. So we are now able to ping the firewall because we allowed it via the global over here. If we go to top left, we have the global properties, right? We go ahead and go to global properties, and you can see that it is saved right now. It is allowing ICMP requests. So that's how you allow ICMP requests on any firewall using the Smart Console, which is connected to the CheckPoint management server. Hello guys, in this video I am going to show you guys how to basically allow HTTPS connection between this Windows device over here and the gateway, the security gateway firewall over here. So as you can see, if we go to our Windows device, if you click on it, it's going to take us to your Windows device. Then if you go into the server and we try to manage that HTTPS 10.1.1.3, or not 10.1.1.3. If we try to go there, it is not going to get there, but it is allowing CMD. If you go not CMD, it is allowing ping. If you go to open CMD, ping 10.1.1.3. It is allowing ping because we allowed it on the previous video. As you can see right now, it is allowing ping, but it is denying the HTTPS traffic. So we are unable to manage it from the GUI interface. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and create a security policy so we can allow it. Because if you go to the Smart Console, if you connect to the management server 10.1.1.2 with the admin and the password that you set up, it is going to connect you to this. If you go to security policy over here, you can see that we have a cleanup rule. See if you can see it. Okay. It is called the cleanup rule. Can we now make it smaller? Okay, it is called the cleanup rule, and it basically means that from any source, any destination, any applications, it is going to drop it. So by default, it is dropping everything. So therefore, we're not able to get to HTTPS because it is not allowed. So what you need to do is you either can do a right click on this security policy over here, and you can place a rule above, or you can just go ahead and go to this button over here and add a rule above. So what we're going to do is we are going to name it MGT traffic, management traffic, and the source that we need to add over here, you can either create a object for this source over here, or you can just add an IP address, whatever you want. But since we need to add an object, let's go ahead and create an object. The way that you create an object is by going to this one over here. We are going to add a new one. It's going to be a host. It is not going to be a network. And the host that we need to specify is this one over here, 10.1.1.1, because we need to allow that management host. So 10.1.1.1, which is the IP address of this Windows device over here, 10.1.1.1, or this Windows device. If you want to name it, you can go ahead and do MGT host 10.1.1.1 and press OK, and that's going to create that the object for us. So now we can go ahead and go to this plus button, and we can just go ahead and search for that object that we created, which is this one right here, MGT host 10.1.1.1. So that's going to allow MGT host to destination. You don't want it to be any, you want it to be the CPW1 over here. So what is going to happen is the name of this policy is management traffic, the source is management host, which is 10.1.1.1, and the destination is CPGW1, which the IP address is 10.1.1.3. It's going to allow what services. I don't want to be any. What you want to do is you want to specify HTTPS. So we can only allow HTTPS over here. You can select HTTPS and press that plus button over here, and that's going to allow HTTPS. The action, you don't want to drop it. If you drop it, it is not going to accept the traffic. So you want to go ahead and accept the traffic. And then if you want to track it, which means if you want to log the traffic, if you want to see the logs of it, so every time somebody tries to get in, it is going to log it. There we go, and that's good. You can see that we have 8 new changes to it. So what we need to go ahead and do is publish it, and then after we publish it, it's been saved. Now you want to go ahead and install the policy in that management, not on the management, on that gateway, on the checkpoint gateway. So let's go ahead and install the policy. Install, and it's going to take your time, and there you go. You are going to see this pop up over here, policy installation successful or succeed. You can see the date, you can see the time, and you can see who did that policy installation. So now since we installed that security policy, which means that the name of it is management traffic, and if it is coming from this host 10.1.1.1, and if the destination is 10.1.1.3, this object over here 10.1.1.3, and if it is going to HTTPS, then we are going to accept the traffic and it is going to be logged. So let's go ahead and go to our browser, and if we refresh it, there we go, we are going to be allowed to it. So if you go ahead and press continue to this web page, it is going to allow us to go into that GUI admin and enter the password that you set up, and there we go. Let's go ahead and save it. And there we go. So we are in the CheckPoint security gateway now. So it is allowing the traffic like you saw before. At first it wasn't allowing the traffic, so what we did was that we went into the smart console and we allowed it by creating a new policy and allowing it from the management host that we created, which was a object that we created with the IP address of 10.1.1.1. The destination was 10.1.1.3, which is the IP address of this CheckPoint firewall. So it's coming from 10.1.1.1 to 10.1.1.3, and it's allowing HTTP. And if you go to it's only allowing HTTP. So if you do try to go to HTTP 10.1.1.3, it is not going to take you there because we are only allowing HTTPS. We are not allowing HTTP. Okay, so that's how you allow HTTPS, so you are able to connect to the gateway web GUI. Hello guys, in this video we are going to continue configuring this topology, and what I want to do next, I want to have access to firewall number 2. So the best way that I figured out to do this is to add another Windows device. So I'm going to remove this VPC, and let me go ahead and stop this switch, and we're going to add another Windows machine. Not a Windows 10 machine, and we are going to call it Win2. VNC should be good. Let's go ahead and did I cancel it by I canceled it by accident. Let's go ahead and do it again. Practice makes perfect, right? But it's not that hard to do it. Windows 2 VNC should be good. And this is because I am doing this because for me to be able to get to this firewall, I will need to allow HTTPS and also ping, just like I did on this firewall. And I could do it from the CLI, but I don't want to confuse you guys because it is, oops, let me stop it again. It is a little bit of advanced, so we can do that later on. I wanted to show you guys from the graphical user graphical interface first, and then we can do it from the CLI. So for me to be able to get to the CLI, I need to get it from the local area network, because if I try to do it from this device across this firewall, I will be able to control it because I'm going to be able to send it over here. But this firewall won't be able to send it back because it doesn't have a static IP route, or they're not doing BGP or anything like that. So therefore, I'm just going to add another Windows device, change the IP address, and get to this firewall. Okay. So let's go ahead and open that Windows device, this one right here, Win2. Let's go ahead and log in, and the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and change that IP address to 10.1.2.1 and point to the default gateway of 1.2.3. Okay. So we are going to go into the network settings of the Windows device, so we can change that IPv4 private IP address. So this is going to be, I believe it's 2.1 over here, and we are going to go to 2.3, which is the default gateway of the firewall. There we go. That should be good. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Great. So now let's go ahead and open the command line CMD from this, or we can just go from here. No, what if you just right click and we can go to command prompt. So from the Windows device or from the Windows phone, you can just right click and select the command prompt, and from here we can do ping 10.1.2.3, which is the IP address of this firewall. So I'm not able to ping that firewall, right? Which is the default behavior for the firewall. We need to allow that. So let's go ahead and first go to this firewall over here. We are on this Windows device. We are going to go to HTTPS. Remember, it needs to be HTTPS, otherwise it won't work. 10.1.2.3. There you go. We're going to continue. So now we are going into this firewall to the web GUI. And what we first need to do is we need to tell it where this network is, where 10.1.1 is. So let's go ahead and log in. Same username and password as the other one, because we are using the same firewall, basically the same image, so they all have the same password. You can just go ahead and save it. That's fine, because I'm going to save it, so I don't need to type it over and over again. If you go to network interfaces, you are going to see the interfaces that we have configured. If you go to static routes, here's where we are going to add a static route. We have a default one to, I don't know why we have that. We can just go ahead and edit this. Normal. And we are going to, so here's what it says. For normal, it's going to accept and forward packets. If you want to reject it, it's going to drop it and send the unreachable message. If you do a black hole, it's just going to drop it and it's not going to send out an unreachable message. So let's see. Let's go ahead and just create your own one. And we are going to create 1.1.0 network /24. And this is going to go to this network. So I'm going to tell this firewall how to get to this network over here, which is send it to 20.1.1.1. Right? You can add a comment if you want to. We are going to add an IP address. You can either add an IP address or a interface. If you add the IP address, going to be 20.1.1.1. You can set a priority if you want to. 20.1.1.1. You can also add an interface. So if you want to, we can just add Ethernet 1, and it will work the same. But we are just going to add that IP address. Let's go ahead and save it. There we go. So we are looking good. From here, you can get to the terminal as well. You could also, let me go ahead and, from here you can also, if you want to lock the database, you can also do that. But we don't want to release the lock right now. So we are looking good. What else do we want to do from here? Let's go ahead and go to overview. Okay, that's good. Another thing that we would like to do is, since, let me see, we went to 10.1.1.2. Are we able to accept traffic at instead of 10.1.1.2? Are we able to accept traffic at 20.1.1.2? Let's go ahead and see. If you go HTTPS, yep, it is going to accept it here too. So if we go from this computer all the way to 20.1.1.2, we should be able to reach this firewall. But now we need to go ahead and allow that traffic. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and configure a security policy on this firewall, and we also need to, after we configure that security policy, what we need to do is we need to the security policy that's going to allow ping and HTTPS across the firewall to get to 20.1.1.2 and then back as well. So, and then after we do that, we are also going to be adding let's see, we are going to add a static route. So this firewall knows how to get to 10.1.2.0 network. Hello guys, in this video we are going to be configuring default route for gateway 2 to be able to reach network 10.1.1.0 and for gateway 1 to be able to reach 10.1.2.0 network. So let's go ahead and do that. We need to do this from the gateway web GUI. So let's go ahead and open this Windows device first, and we are going to go into this firewall IP address 10.1.1.3. So let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and close this. We are going to go into the browser. It will work with any browser you have. If you have installed another browser, it is going to work. HTTPS 10.1.1.3. Oh, I put 34 by accident. It should be 3. Did I put 33 now? I'm sorry for that. There we go. So from here, let's go ahead and continue. And like I said, we are going to add the default gateway. And I'm going to tell this security gateway over here that if we have any traffic coming from network 10.1.2.0 to send it to 20.1.1.2, this firewall over here. So if you have if this security gateway gets any source IP address of 10.1.2.3 or 10.1.2.0, send it to 20.1.1.2. And then in this firewall, we are going to tell it that if it gets any traffic coming from 10.1.1.0, the way to reach 10.1.1.0 is to send it to 20.1.1.1. So let's go ahead and do that. We are going to go to IPv4 static routes. And over here, you can either delete this one and then create a new one, or you can just edit this one. We are just going to edit this one over here, and all we need to do is we are going to this is the default route, so we need to edit this IP address, and we need to add over here that we want to go to 20.1.1.2. That's going to be the default gateway. Save it. Good. And also, if you go ahead and select edit, if you see it that you can either, for the next type, you can either do a normal, which is to accept and forward the packets. You can either do a reject, which is drop the packets and send an unreachable message, or you can do a black hole, which is drop the packets but don't send any unreachable messages. So you can do any of those. We are going to do a better video on how to do that, but it is a lot easy, and that it is easy. So we are going to select as normal, which is to accept and forward the packets. So let's go ahead and save it. Great. We can go ahead and close this out for now. We can go now to CP CheckPoint Gateway 2. So we are going to go to this Windows device, and we are going to navigate to 10.1.2.3. This computer ran into a problem. Let's go ahead and stop it. Let's go ahead and start this bad boy again. And now let's go ahead and fire this up again. There we go. Should be able to log into this computer. This Windows 2, which is in 10.1.2.1 IP address. I need to also verify after I log in. I'm going to verify that it is still in that network. Actually, you can just do a command prompt. We're going to do ipconfig, so we can verify that we do indeed have that IP address. 10.1.2, 10.1.2.1. Great. Now let's go ahead and go to HTTPS 10.1.2.3, 10.1.2.3. And that's going to take me to this checkpoint gateway 2. Let's see, it is starting. Why is it taking so long? We can go ahead and press enter again. Go ahead and press continue. And we are going to log in with the same username and password that we set up whenever we configure this checkpoint firewall. Admin. Log in, and from here, like I said before, we are going to configure a default gateway to be 20.1.1.1, which is basically if we get any traffic, even coming from 10.1.1.1, I want you to send it to 20.1.1.1, which is basically what we did on this gateway 1. Now we are going to do it on gateway 2. Let's go ahead and go to static. And like I said before, we can use this default gateway, or you can create your own one. If you want to go ahead and delete this default gateway, you go ahead and do that. And what we could, well, it's still there. So the default gateway is always going to be there. That's something that the checkpoint does, always has a gateway. But the thing is that it is not configured. So you can go ahead and configure that, or you can just go ahead and add a new one. And we are going to say that if the network is 10.1.1.0, I want you to /24. I want you to send it to gateway of, you can either specify the IP address, which we are going to do 20. It's going to be 20.1.1.1 31. And you can also, if you don't want to specify an IP address, you can also add a network interface, and the interface will be Ethernet 1. But we are just going to add the IP address of gateway 1, which is 20.1.1.1. Save it. And that is good. So now the next step will be to create a security policy on this gateway over here. And what we're going to do is we are going to say that from this gateway, I want to go ahead and allow HTTPS if it's coming from this source, and if it's going to this destination, I want you to allow that traffic through the firewall. Hello guys, in this video we are going to basically go over objects and policies. So we are going to be creating a policy. So from this Windows device, I'm going to be able to connect to the CP gateway number 2. So the checkpoint gateway number 2, I'm going to be able to do it from this Windows device all the way over here. So 20.1.1.2, I'm going to be able to connect to the web GUI interface of this gateway, and I'm going to be able to get there. Because remember, the way that we are configuring the CP W2 right now is by connecting from a computer in their own network. So I want to be able to connect from this computer, which is in a remote network. Okay, so what we need to do is we will configure a security policy on this gateway, and we are going to be allowing this network over here, this entire network, we are going to be allowing them to be able to connect to 20.1.1.2 via HTTPS, and we are going to allow it. So let's go ahead and do that. We are going to go into this Windows device, and we are going to launch the Smart Console. I already have it open already. So the way that you launch smart console, like I said, like I showed you before, is by installing the smart console from the management server. We did that on the previous video. If you missed that, make sure to go ahead and watch that video. So you're going to go ahead and launch that. You're going to log into the management server, which is 10.1.1.2, and you're going to enter the same username and password that you used to log into the web GUI. Okay. So after you're there, you're going to go to security policies. And as you can see right now, we already created a security policy, which is going from the source management host, which is this computer over here, 10.1.1.1 IP address. If you hover over it, you can see the IP address is 10.1.1.1. And here's what an object is. An object represents basically like an IP address or a network. A host or a object, you can either make it a host or a network. That's what objects are. If you want to just allow an entire network, then you're going to create an object that is going to be hosting a network. And if you just want to add just one endpoint, like we did right here, then you will add a object that is going to be a host. So what we did right here was a host. Then we check the destination, which is another host of the checkpoint gateway 1, right? And then we specify which services we were going to allow on that particular policy, which is HTTPS, and we said that we are going to accept it, and we are also going to log it. Also, if you guys are not tracking the cleanup rule, make sure that you are logging it. Make sure that it is logging, because that will it will be good for you to, whenever you are troubleshooting, to make sure that the cleanup rule is in log, to make sure if none of your security policy are not matching, to see if it is matching in the cleanup rule. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create the policy, the security policy. So from this network, so from 10.1.1.0/24 network, I want to allow HTTPS traffic to 20.1.1.2. So we need to create two objects, one for this network and the other one for this host of 10.1.1.2. So let's go ahead and do that first before we create our rule. And the way that you can create an object is by going over here to new, and you can either specify a host or a network. Let's do the network first. The network is going to be this right here, the local network of the gateway, of the security gateway 1, and we are going to name it, let's go ahead and name it network 1. The IP address range is 10.1.1.0, and the net mask is going to be a 255.255.255.0/24. Okay, then you are going to press OK, and that's going to create an object. So now we have an object which is going to be used for the source. Now we need to go ahead and create another object, which is going to be the host, right? So we are going to name this let's name it CPGW out, because it's the interface that is facing out. You're going to go to new, and also if you go to objects over here, you can also do it from here. So let's go ahead and do it from here. So either way will work. If you do it from here or if you do it from here, it's the same way. So we are going to name it CPGW2 out interface. IP address 20.1.1.2. Enter or OK. So now we have two hosts. Now we can go ahead and create the policy. So where do you want to place the policy? If you place the policy below the cleanup rule, what is going to happen is the cleanup rule is going to match, because it is, the source is going to be any and the destination is any. Therefore, if we put it at the third place, we are not going to be matching our security policy. If we put it on top of the management traffic, it doesn't matter, because they're not going to be the same, or the management traffic is not doing any. Okay, so we are just going to put it at number 2. So you can either do, if you right click on it, you can add a new rule either above or below. It doesn't really matter, but cancel that. I don't want to delete it. And if you want to do from the cleanup, if you select the cleanup and right click on it, you can also place it above. You don't want to place it below, because otherwise everything is going to be matched on the security policy and it's not going to match the policy that we want to create. So we can go ahead and right click here and make it above, or we can go over here and add a rule above. It's the same thing, as you can see right here. And this is going to be management traffic going to GW2. Now the source, like we said before, is going to be that object that we created with this local network. So let's go ahead and add it. Click on the plus sign. We are going to look for it. Here we go. Network 1, 10.1.1.0 plus. Now we are going to add the destination. The destination is going to be to CheckPoint Gateway 2. Interface is out. 20.1.1.2. Great. Now the services that we want to allow this computer, or we want to allow this network 1, 10.1.1.0/24, to be able to get into the HTTPS. There we go. And you can go ahead and press the plus sign. Good. So now you want to do the action. The action is either to drop it. If you do drop it, it is just going to not allow the traffic. If it's going to accept, it is going to allow the traffic. Let's go ahead and accept it. If you want to log the traffic, so every time it matches the security policy, it is going to log it. So I want to go ahead and log this traffic to make sure that my traffic is being hit. So let's go ahead and log it. Great. So now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and publish our the modifications that we did, the changes that we did on this management server. If you go ahead and publish it, it is going to basically save your configuration, but it's not installed yet. It didn't send it to this gateway, so it doesn't know. This gateway doesn't know that that policy was applied. So what we need to do is we can go ahead and install it. If you click on install policy, and then you're going to see right here that it's going to send it to the CP GW1, which is this checkpoint firewall over here, right? If we have multiple policies or multiple checkpoint gateways, and if you want to only install in once, what you can do is you can do a policy target, and you can select the specific gateways that you want to add if we have multiple ones. But since we only have one, we can just send it to either all gateways or the specific gateways. It doesn't really matter because we only have one. But if we had two, you can either select one or all of them, or as many firewalls as you want. So let's go ahead and press install. And there we go. Our policy has been installed successfully. So now we should be able to reach 20.1.1.2 from this Windows device, because we created that security policy to allow that traffic to go over there, and it's going to send a reply back. And since the checkpoint security policies are a stateful, it is going to allow it to come back in here. And if it was a stateless means that we need to add a security policy going out and going in. A stateful means that it's going to save. It's going to know that if we allow it to go back, it's going to allow it to come back in by default. That's the difference between stateful and stateless. Remember, stateless, you will need to create two security policies. If the checkpoints were stateless, you will have to create one to 10.1.1.1 to 20.1.1.2, and another one from 20.1.1.2 to 10.1.1.1. But since they are stateful, you only need to create one security policy to allow it out, and then by default it's going to allow it in. And if it was going from outside to inside, then you will have to create one coming from the outside to the inside, and then it was going to allow it by default going out. Okay, so it has been installed. Now let's go ahead and go to this Windows computer, the same one where we have the Smart Console. So we are going to open a browser, and we are going to go to HTTPS. Remember, it was HTTPS that we are allowing. If you go to HTTP, it is not going to work. 20.1.1.2. And there we go. You can see that we were able to get to that firewall, 20.1.1.2. And if you want to see the logs, one way that you can do it, or the easiest way that you can do, I'm going to show you the easiest way first, is that you can select the security policy. And if you go to logs, you can see that traffic right here, 7:28. It is, I need to change that time, but it went in at 7:28 p.m. as you can see it right here. Okay, so that's, you can see the log. That's the easiest way to see the logs. And if you want to see all of them, you can go ahead on this left side, and if you go to logs and monitor, and you're going to see all the logs for all the security policies. But if you only want to see one, you can just select over here, like I said, and then select logs, and you can see over here it is the source is 10.1.1.1, destination is 20.1.1.2 via HTTPS. And like I said before, if you go to HTTP, it's not going to allow, because we are only allowing oops, I put HTTPS. Let's put HTTP. Let's go ahead and try it again. .1.1.2 HTTP. You can see right here, right now, it is not going to allow, because we are only allowing HTTPS. Okay, as you can see right here, we can go ahead and continue to this firewall. And as you can see right now, we do have access to the gateway number 2. If we go to admin and log into it, there you go. And you can see right now that we are in that other firewall or gateway. You can see right now 20.1.1.2, and the internal IP address is 10.1.2.3. So you can see that we were able to successfully get to the other firewall because of that rule that we implemented. But like I said before, if you put this under the cleanup rule, it's also going to say that there is a missing cleanup rule, because the cleanup rule needs to be at the end. And if you go ahead and publish it, it is probably going to give you an error because there is not a cleanup rule. If you go ahead and install it, it is going to probably give you an error. And you can see right now that it gave you an error because we don't have a cleanup rule. So if you go ahead and go to details, it is going to say right here now, the policy verification failed. Rule number 2 conflicts with rule number 3 for service and application HTTPS. So that means that this rule, it is going to block it by default. So that's why we need to have that cleanup rule all the way at the end, and this management on top of it. Because if you put this cleanup rule on top of any of these two policies, then it is going to basically override it, and it's going to block all the traffic. It's going to drop all that traffic that we have over here. So another way also that you can install this policy, what you could do is you can go ahead and go straight to install policy, and that's just going to publish and install the policy. So you don't really have to go to publish and then install. You can just go ahead and go straight to install, and that's going to publish it, which means it's to save it, and then it's going to install it in that gateway firewall, as you can see over here. Hello guys, in this video we are going to be adding the CheckPoint gateway number 2 to the management server. So there's a couple things that we need to do. First is that we need to make sure that our management gateway has the default gateway of the security policy or the security CheckPoint gateway over here. So we need to make sure that this server over here has the default gateway of 10.1.1.3. Then after that, we should be able to add a security policy so that this management server is able to go out here and reach out to the CheckPoint security gateway number 2. So let's go ahead and do that. We are going to go to this Windows device over here. We are going to go to the browser, and we are going to go to HTTPS 10.1.1.2, which is the IP address of this gateway over here, and we are going to, or this management server over here, and we are going to verify that, or if it doesn't have it, we need to add that default gateway of 10.1.1.3. So 10.1.1.2, I'm not able to reach. I put HTTP, and it needs to be HTTPS. Let me go ahead and remove this. Let's go ahead and try it again. HTTPS. Let's go ahead and just close it, and then just go ahead and add it over here. HTTPS 10.1.1.2. There we go. That's going to take us to the management server. We are going to log into it. And like I said, we are going to either add, or we are going to verify that the default gateway is 10.1.1.3. and if it's not 10.1.1.3, we need to change it to 10.1.1.3. So we are inside that CP, the checkpoint management, the management server. We are going to go to static IPv4 static routes, and as you can see right now, it has the gateway of 192.168.1.255. Yours might be different, but it needs to say 10.1.1.3. So let's go ahead and press edit, and we are going to edit this IP address, and we need to add 10.1.1.3. We are going to press OK. We are going to now save it. So now our management server is going to be able to reach out to 20.1.1.2 because it has that default gateway of 10.1.1.3. So now the next step that we need to do is we need to go ahead and go to the Smart Console. So if you haven't logged in, go ahead and log into the Smart Console. And what we need to do is either we need to add a security policy above the cleanup rule. So let's go ahead and add it above the cleanup rule. There we go. And this one is going to say management server to gateway 2. Okay, the source, it is going to be 10.1.1.2. So let's see if we have an object for 10.1.1.2, and we do right here. CPM. Let's go ahead and add it. The destination is going to be the CPGW2 10.1.1.2. So let's go ahead and add it. 20.1.1.2. There we go. The services and applications, we are going to leave it as any. The action, we want to allow that action, accept it, and we want to log this traffic. So what's going to happen is this management server to GW2, what it's going to do is if it is coming from 10.1.1.2, which is our management server, to 20.1.1.2, I'm going to accept it if it is any services or applications, and we are going to also log it. So let's go ahead and publish this to save it. Now we're going to go ahead and install it. And there it is. Our security policy has been successfully installed on the CheckPoint security gateway 1. So now we should be allowed to, from this management server, we should be able to go out to 20.1.1.2 so we can add this CheckPoint firewall to our management server. So we are going to be able to publish our configurations from the management server, just like we were doing it for gateway 1. So let's go ahead and add that from the Smart Console. So we are going to go to gateways and servers. We are going to go over here. It looks like a start button. We are going to go to gateways, wizard mode. We are going to add the name of it. This is going to be called CPGW2. The platform is going to be open server. The IP address 20.1.1.2. We are going to click next. And this one is going to say that the IP address entered is already in use by another network object, which is CPGW2. Do you want to use this IP address anyways? So what's going to happen is that it's going to create another object, and it's telling you that there's already an object with the name of CPGW2 out that has an object already, and it's going to create another object. If you press yes, it's going to create another object named CPGW2. You can just say yes anyways. And if you don't want to duplicate it, you can just say no. So now we need to go ahead and enter that SIC password, that one-time password that we set up. And if you don't remember that password, I'm going to show you how to do it after we add it. So let's go ahead and add that password. See if I remember. Hopefully I do. So let's try it again. There we go. Press next. So that's going to add the second firewall. You can see right now, you can see the interfaces. Ethernet 0 is 10.1.2.3 and Ethernet 1 is 20.1.1.2. So that is correctly. Edit the gateway properties. We don't need to do this, so we can just go ahead and uncheck this and press finish. And it is just a warning for that object that it is the same. Just go ahead and press yes. And as you can see right now, we had it the checkpoint gateway number 2, and we also have number 1, the one that we have been configuring. So we also have gateway number 2. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and publish our changes so we can save our configuration. And now we are going to install that policy. Install. And there we go. The policy has been successfully installed. So as you can see right now, we have the 2 checkpoint security gateways. We have the CPGW1, which is the one that we have been configuring. And then we have the other one, which is CPGW number 2, and it is 20.1.1.2. And you can see right now, it is an open server, and we can see the CPU usage for both of them. So that means that it was successfully installed in the management server. So now we are going to be able to add and remove security policies and configurations from both gateways at the same time. So it is basically creating one way, so you are able to manage and configure both firewalls or multiple firewalls. You can add, if we have 100 firewalls, you can go ahead and configure or manage 100 firewalls from one interface or from one location, which is the management server, via the Smart Console from your Windows device. In this video, we are going to go over security zones and what security zones are and what they are used for. So we are going to build a couple of security zones, and we are going to add it to the security policy so you see how it works. So security zones let you create strong access control policy that controls the traffic between parts of the network. So like we have over here, we have a local area network that's going to be a zone. So let's go ahead and make a cool custom shape. We're going to add color of green. There we go. Copy this, select, Background color is going to be the same color. Square, that's good. So this square right here is going to represent the inside zone. That's what we're going to call it. So we can go ahead and we can add a text. Let's call it inside. Let's make this bigger, make this bold. There we go. Inside. So right now, like I said before, security zones lets you create a strong access control policy that controls the traffic between parts of the network. So right now, the inside zone is one part of the network. Another zone that we are going to be adding, we can just go ahead and duplicate this. That is fine. Oh, did it duplicate it? Right click, duplicate. There we go. We can go ahead and make it the outside zone, which is going to be the zone in between the two firewalls. Let's make it bigger. We can go ahead and edit it, and we can go ahead and make it a little bit reddish color because it is going to be the outside zone. So it is a danger zone basically. Okay, let's go ahead and make this red over here. Select, save it. Okay, so now we can go ahead and copy this and duplicate it as well, and we can go ahead and change this to, we are going to call it the outside zone. All right, so we have the outside, we have the inside zone that we're going to be creating. We can go ahead and duplicate this one and basically just move this one over here, and this one is going to be also called the inside zone. And in another video we are going to be adding another one, which is going to be the DMZ zone. So this right here, let's make this right here, inside, outside, inside. So a security zone object represents part of the network. So the local area network is going to be the inside, the outside of the external network is going to be the outside zone. That's what I'm going to name it. You can name it whatever you want. And you can assign a network interface like Ethernet 0 is going to be assigned to the inside zone, right? And you can use you can then use the security zone objects in the source and destination columns for the security policy. So what I can now do after I create those security zones and assign it to a interface, so I'm going to assign it to interface 0, it's going to be the inside, and the outside is going to be Ethernet 1. Then after that, what we could do is that we can create policy based on zones instead of just based on IP address. So that's what we are going to be doing. That's how security zones are implemented. And then in another video, we are going to create, like I said, a DMZ zone. So let's go ahead and go to the Windows device. I log in incorrectly. Let's go ahead and log out. And you're going to sign in HTML5. Always remember that. Let's go ahead and just save it. Okay. Let's go ahead and open the Windows device. HTML5. Let's go ahead and log into it. Forgot. There we go. So we are going to log into the Windows device. We are going to create a zone for the inside and a zone for the outside. And this one is only going to go for this checkpoint gateway. Later on, we can just go ahead and create it for checkpoint gateway number 2. So we are just going to do it for the gateway number 1. So what we want to do is we want to open Smart Console, and we are going to log into the management server at 10.1.1.2. So I'll go ahead and enter your password to log in to 10.1.1.2. So now we are logged in, and everything got loaded. So what we're going to do is we are going to go into the checkpoint gateway number 1, which is this one right here. And this one is in the gateways and servers. So we are going to double click on it so we can open the options that we can modify on it. And then we are going to go to network management, and on network management is where you're going to be able, let me see, network management, get interfaces. Why can I see the interfaces? There we go. Accept the interfaces. So if you don't see any interfaces, you can just go ahead and say get interfaces with topology if you want to. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to edit, let's see, Ethernet 0. So we can go ahead and edit that. And inside right here, as you can see, security zone, there is non-security zone, so we're going to modify this. And what we're going to be doing is we are going to specify a security policy, and by default you can see that the CheckPoint firewall has some pre-defined security zones. One is a wireless, we have an external, a DMZ zone, and an internal zone as well down here that you can use. But what I want to do, I just want to create my own security zone, and I'm going to name this just inside. We are going to press OK. And we are going to, as you can see, user define specify security zone to the inside. So let's go ahead and press OK. So as you can see that 10.1.1.3, the inside right here, Ethernet 0 is going to be assigned to the inside zone. Press OK. Now we want to go to Ethernet 1. You can either double click or you can just press on edits. We are going to modify it, and we are going to create another security zone, which is going to be the outside. You can name it whatever you want, but I want to name it the outside. Press OK. OK and OK. So after that is done, we have modified and we added those security zones to those interfaces, and you can add multiple interfaces to a single zone. Okay, but you can add multiple zones to one interface. Just remember that. And now we are going to go to security policies, and we are going to create a new security policy above the cleanup rule. So this one right here, we are going to, if you select it, we are going to then add a rule above it. And let's see, we have the management traffic. So let's go ahead and say, let's go ahead and name it inside to outside. And the source, now we're not going to specify a IP address or an object. What we are going to specify, we are going to specify a security zone. So we are going to go ahead and add it, a new one, and you can see recently used, or you can just scroll down and look for it if you want to. So it's going to be from the inside to the destination of outside. So what I'm saying right now is that if it is coming from the inside, which is Ethernet 0 right now, and if it's going to Ethernet 1, which is the outside zone, and if it is HTTPS, press, or if it is DNS, we can add also DNS. Press enter DNS. Go ahead and add it. Or if it is even HTTP, we can add HTTP. We are going to action is to allow, or in CheckPoint is to accept, and we want to log this traffic so we can see that we are matching that rule. So what's going to happen is we are going to test it from this computer, from this Windows 10 computer. So if we take a look at that, it is going to be matched at the management traffic gateway number to, let me see if it's going from network to out HTTP. So what we could do is, saying it's going to be matched at rule number 2 right now, what we could do is we can go ahead and disable that because it is going to be matched at rule number 2 and it's not going to get to rule number 4. So let's go ahead and right click on it. If you right click on it, you can go ahead and disable it for now because we want it to match at rule number 4. Because remember, the security policies are read from top to bottom, and if this one doesn't match, this one is not going to match, right? Because this one is going to gateway 1, but this one it was going to match. So it was going to stop there and it's going to allow it, and then it was not going to get to this one over here. And also I believe this one is coming from CPM. No, this one is the management server, so this one is not going to well, it is going to match, but this one is just specifying the management server, so it is fine. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and publish. And now you need to be careful on this one when you go and install it, because we only want to install it on the gateway 1. Remember, we added gateway 2 and gateway 1 are both in this management server. So what we need to do is when you go to install the policy, you need to specify where you want to install this policy. So if you go to policy targets, you want to if you search for it, there is the gateway number 2. If you have both of them in here, you want to go ahead and remove the gateway number 2 and you just want to send it to checkpoint gateway number 1. So press OK, install that policy. And there we go, my security policy has been successfully installed on CPW. If you go ahead and checkpoint gateway number 1, only checkpoint gateway number 1. That's how you want it. You don't want to install it on checkpoint gateway number 2 because we have not configured any zones on that gateway just yet. So as you can see right now, so what's going to happen if any computer in the inside zone, which is basically anything connected to Ethernet 0, going to the outside, which is this zone over here, the outside, what it's going to do is, if it is HTTPS, DNS, HTTP, it is going to accept it and it's also going to log that traffic. So let's see if that is correct. Let's go ahead and open Edge and let's go ahead and go to HTTPS 20.1.1.20.1.1.2, and there we go. Continue. And we were able to get to 20.1.1.2 because of this rule right here, or the security policy that we created. So if we go ahead and refresh the logs, there's no logs over here. Let me verify this. So this one was a 647. The origin, no. Did it match this one? I don't think it did. No. It has to be this one. There we go. So we just refreshed and now it is here. You can see that the log says that we went from 10.1.1.1, which is this computer, and we went to checkpoint gateway number 2 at 20.1.1.2, and the service that we used was HTTPS TCP port number 443. And you can see right here, the access rule was from inside to outside. So that's how you're able to create a security policy with security zones.